Good afternoon, good evening, and good morrow, everybody. My name is Moose, and this is the Moosecast for January 7th, 2018. Yep, this is the first Moosecast for the new year. I'm all by myself. I decided, why not commemorate this past year of gaming with an almost top 10 list. I wasn't able to come up with top 10 games, mainly because I've been playing a lot of oldies. I've been playing Skyrim, I've been playing plenty of other games that have already been played and are from different years. But I did touch 10 games, or not 10 games, I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. 8 games in 2017 that came out in 2017. And in no particular order, I'll discuss those for you. So the first game that I want to discuss is a game by Asymmetric Publications known as West of Loathing. West of Loathing is a really fun RPG. It's a turn-based strategy RPG. And it's made out of stick figures. Everything's stick figures. It's just the silliest, funniest thing. It currently has a 10 out of 10 on Steam, which, if that's not saying something, I've had such a blast with it. I haven't beaten it. I'm one of those people who doesn't beat games very easily. But it's a wonderful game. Not sure how much it is right now. I believe, it's $10.99. Well worth the price. $11 for an RPG that's substantially pretty long. Has some decent replay value. Different classes. One of the classes is Beanmancer, where you harness the power of beans. Yeah, it's kind of a silly game. This is actually by the same creators that made Kingdom of Loathing, which was an old game on the interwebs that had a similar style and similar humor. Kind of a Monty Python-esque style of game. Very silly. One of the first things that you get, no spoilers by the way, one of the first things you get is the ability to silly walk, which... it's just hysterical. If you have the chance and you have $11, go pick it up on Steam right now. West of Loathing by Asymmetric Publications. Next we have, everybody knows this game, Cuphead. Cuphead was developed, and you think, Studio MDHR. Everybody knows Cuphead by this point. An excellent game. Difficult as balls. When people say, "Oh yeah, that's the Dark Souls of whatever video game," this makes me feel kind of Dark Soulsy. Mainly because the difficulty and the amount of times you die. I've died more in this game than I have in actual Dark Souls. If that's saying anything. It's a very complex game, but so simple at the same time. Just dodge and shoot, jump and shoot. And the art style, oh my god. The art style is perhaps one of the most creative. It definitely drew me in to Cuphead. I was it was a very dramatic art style in comparison to a lot of platformers. That drawing, that it's so good. But yeah, it's a fantastic video game that you should all take a look at. Next, it's kind of a weird one for me. Dream Daddy, a dad dating simulator, came out in July this past year. Developed by Game Grumps. Now, I'm a big Game Grumps fan. I've been watching them ever since the old days of JonTron. This game, I mean, I was going to get it just for the fact that it was Game Grumps. Honestly, I haven't felt anything. I'm not really a dating simulator kind of guy, but this was definitely worth it. The mini games that are involved with it, all the characters, there's very creative and interesting characters in this game, and just good writing overall, just amazing writing. And what's interesting, this game actually turned me onto a band called Pup, which I'm not going to play for copyright reasons. But the one song by Pup is in this game, and now I'm a huge fan of Pup, just because of this game. This game actually brought new life and new music into me. And like I said, it's just a fun, silly kind of game. There's silly moments, there's puns. It's hysterical. I'm big on the humor of Dream Daddy. Next up was kind of a new game. I actually recently picked this up in 2017. In fact, this is probably the newest game I've gotten. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice by Ninja Theory. Now, people described it. They were like, yeah, well, it kind of like represents like depression and anxiety and psychosis. Yeah, I would say this is probably one of the most accurate representations of that feeling of complete like desperation and depression, and it does a really good job. One of the first things that it does is there's voices whispering in your ear that tell you that you can't do things. Like they're trying to tell you and trying to convince you, hey, you're worthless, basically. And the audio in this game, my God, the amount of times I felt uncomfortable, and in a good way. Uncomfortable as in it really made me feel like I was this character. Like this was the voices being projected towards me. It was amazing. I was really surprised. It's a very beautiful game too. It's on Steam and it's on the PlayStation 4 right now. I have it on the Steam. I have it on Steam. I've heard it's a lot better on the PlayStation 4, but honestly, I'm a huge fan of it on Steam even. The combat is nice. The puzzles are creative. It's very... There's moments where it feels like a walking simulator, but that's not a bad thing. Because there's times when it gives you lore. It's very set in that whole kind of like Norse mythology. There's a lot of, Odin and stuff like that. It's a very, very interesting game. And if you're looking for a good single-player experience, I would definitely consider picking up Hellblade. Next on my list is the game that I put the most hours in on Steam this past year, other than Dota. We won't talk about Dota. Oxygen Not Included. Oxygen Not Included is developed by Clay Entertainment. If you don't know them, they made Don't Starve. And Don't Starve was a huge hit. I picked this game up when it was in alpha, because there was a sign up for it. And this was before it was even visible on Steam. And I played it, and it felt like the most finished alpha I had ever played. Oxygen Not Included, for those of you who don't know, is a resource management, kind of like Fallout Shelter, the handheld game, where you have members of the shelter, and they're doing certain tasks, and you're building the shelter, and this is very much that, with more, I feel like a lot more to it. I've put so many hours, and they keep updating it, and they keep adding amazing stuff to it. They recently just put out an update a week ago that changed the game yet again. I used to play this game for hours and not die, and then they kept adding stuff, and they made it more difficult, and I died a lot recently. but it's still fun. It's still fun to have your own little space station centered in the, this planet that you know nothing about. It's a really fun experience. I have to say, it's one of the most fun kind of sandbox simulations I've ever played. And I played Minecraft, and that's one of the best simulations of survival. Next up on my list is another game that I got into kind of recently. I have to say that it's fun. It's PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds by Bluehole Studio. Also, the PlayerUnknown people. Let me just say, it's a great game to play with friends. If you're playing alone, there's a lot wrong with it. Like, this game will crash your computer. This game is poorly optimized in some regard. But when you're in a match, when you are teaming up with friends and things are going just great, like you got into the match, it can be one of the most fun experiences. There's a lot wrong with it. But at the same time, it's still a fun game. Does it do anything with the formula that's crazy? No. But it is definitely one of those games that I can pick up and play for a few hours with friends and just laugh my ass off at stupid stuff. It has that capability. And as much as it's, like I said, as much as it's poorly optimized, it's still a fun game. It feels, I would say it feels like a mod for another game. It almost feels like a mod for like Arma or like Counter-Strike or something like that. It doesn't feel like a full, I don't want to say a full game, because it's just a multiplayer game. And what it has a lot of. But at the same time, it's like, it feels like it was modded from something. Which is fine. I've put plenty of hours in it recently. The past few days, I've just been playing it, and it's fun. It's fun to get together with friends and die. Like, honestly, I've never had more fun in a game dying, because I've died in so many silly ways. Next up, if you like MOBAs, but hate the depression, Battlerite is the game for you. Battlerite, developed by Stunlock Studios, is a 3v3, sometimes 2v2, sometimes solo, whatever the hell you want to play it as, basically. Fighting game. It's a top-down fighting game that does a lot with the MOBA formula. It's basically if you take out all of the boring shit from Dota and League of Legends, and you just have that. You just have the cool shit. Battlerite has been so fun for me, as of recent, because it has so much thought and so much work put into it, and I know they're gonna put more into it because the player base is only growing. The maps are amazing. The graphics are fantastic for what they are. There's always bright colors, but it's never like too much. It's just enough information to where you need, like, you know what's going on in a fight, and you can feel like the damage. It's an excellent game if you're tired of playing 30-minute Dota or League games, or hour-long League games, or hour-long Dota games. It can be hilariously fun. I've had just an absolute blast with Battlerite. Go pick it up. It's good. It's worth it. Do it. Go do it now. And lastly, one of the few games that I finished this year, Thimbleweed Park. Now, hold on. Thimbleweed Park is developed by the people who made Maniac Mansion from 1987. Now, for those of you who don't know, Maniac Mansion was a point-and-click adventure game. And let me just say, Thimbleweed Park had so much imagination and creativity and funny moments in it. It is going down as one of my favorite games. I will say it was just an overall blast. It was it's so hard not to gush about a few things in this game. But there's a lot of, the fact is you're playing a point and click, but you have multiple characters to be, and those characters interact with other characters and in different ways, and it's very unique. It very much takes from Maniac Mansion, where you played as multiple characters and only certain characters could do certain things. Except this game isn't frustrating. Like, those games you could die really easily. And it has such an ending in it that it made me think. It was definitely one of those games that made me think and go, huh, alright. I was not expecting that twist. There's a really good twist ending in it. And you should go pick it up. It's fairly cheap right now. I forget what it is on. Oh, it's $20 on Steam. But you can have multiple playthroughs. There's an easy mode, basically, which is what I played. I beat it in the easy mode. I'm going to be doing a difficult run very soon. The easy mode has limited amount of puzzles. The difficult mode literally makes everything a fucking puzzle. And I'm very worried. I'm very worried about what's going to happen with that. But yeah. So those were the 8 games that I had some of the most fun with in 2017. I know Fractured Butthole was also released in 2017. I kind of didn't want to bring that one up because we already had a discussion about how that's a great game. But if you want to add that on there, feel free. But yeah, hopefully 2018 brings us plenty more for us to enjoy. As of right now, it's looking kind of dark on the horizon. But hopefully we will see games that are just as awe-inspiring, if not more so, than the previous years. 2017 was a good year for games. There was a lot of games that I wasn't unable to play because I didn't have certain consoles. I didn't have the Switch, so I was unable to play Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey, which I'm very sad about. Please donate to me a Nintendo Switch. No, I'm just kidding. But really, though, like, there was so many good games that came out in 2017. It's going to be hard to top. There was no No Man's Sky to disappoint us. There was no... I mean, there was the usual, like, hey, here's a Call of Duty. Whatever. But at least we had some good games. So, with that, here's the 2018, and here's the hopefully more Moosecasts. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe to us on YouTube, or you can follow us on SoundCloud, whichever you prefer. And we will see you very soon, and I will have the other guys back on the podcast, because I know you probably just hated listening to just me for the past several minutes. Thank you so much. You guys have a lovely evening, day, night, whatever you feel. Bye.